right, Brian, I guess chronologically, we got to go with what happened on Wednesday before we can talk about what happened on Thursday. That seems like that would be the way you should go, doesn't it?
Well, I think because you usually don't watch TNA, it's more of a spectacle. It's more of a special feature. Every week we talk about Dynamite and you hope there's something good, and every now and then, I thought there was something really good this week. But TNA, it's kind of like forbidden water. What will Jim think?
Forbidden water. I was going to say it's more like a creature feature, but I think, yeah, forbidden water. Don't drink this water. It'll f you up. Do not drink the poison water. AEW for this week of March 26th was in the fine city of St. Paul, Minnesota, the Minneapolis, the Twin Cities. They grew together, sort of like Dallas Fort Worth, but even more of a bond, because the Dallas Fort Worth is not called the Twin Cities.
Their whole identity is being the Twin Cities.
Minneapolis and St. Paul.
That's right.
Because they got the twins, right? And everybody.
That was the name of the tag team of Norm Keizer and Jim Melby.
Yes, the twins. And everybody's legally obligated to have twins when they procreate. But anyway, we got an email that answers some things that I've been suspectifying about this very show that we're about to talk about. From Justin. No other information given. Apparently, he doesn't want the hounds of hell on him. Hello, Jim and Brian. Part of AEW's tickets distribution in each city is a large donation of tickets to the Veterans Ticket Foundation. The last 3 times, including this coming Wednesday, AEW has come through Minneapolis, St. Paul. They have distributed a large chunk of tickets. The first time was 756 tickets. The second was 1,500, both in a 20,000-seat venue. This time they will be at the Roy Wilkins Auditorium, a 5,000-seat venue, and we'll talk about this building, I was going to ask. And last I saw, 500-plus tickets were given to VETTIX, VETTIX.org. I assume .org, that means they're a nonprofit, right? Like AEW, so we can plug them without fearing they'll sell you Bitcoin. But anyway, Justice said, I understand giving away tickets to veterans, including myself, is a positive thing. But when such large chunks are donated, it feels like they are padding their numbers. Yeah, you think, Brian, would they do something like that? Remember, it's the phrase is always, how many people they have and use? Well, it's reported that it was so and so many tickets distributed.
Right.
And we've said a number of times, well, distributed doesn't exactly mean that people bought them or used them, but they were distributed. And now the veterans are fine, worthy organization, but we need more information on the paid aspect of AEW's ticket business, don't we?
Yeah, I think both things could be true, though. I think we definitely need more. Well, we need more in terms of we want the information. It's a private company. They don't have to give us a fucking thing. But we would love more information about the exact amount of paid ticket sales. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with giving, if you're not selling those tickets, yeah, give them to every group you can in town. Give them as many as you got. Fill it up with them.
Give him all she's got, Captain.
No, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I actually have no problem with Tony Khan or AEW doing that.
And again, I'm not saying that there is either, especially if they ain't selling them and they have to fill the building. But that's the problem, is that people have been overlooking the fact that these guys in this combination ain't interesting, even their most dedicated folks, to actually go out and buy the tickets to the live event in major cities, more than 2,000 fucking people in a lot of cases. Or if that, we don't know. And that goes back to what I said. Their business strategy was, let's put on the greatest matches ever seen every fucking week. And I said, that sounds great when they've only been to the town once, or it's a new thing, or it's we're mad at the WWF, or whatever the case may be, as to why you want to support the other company. And we're rah, and Tony's one of us. 5 years in, they've been everywhere, and it's kind of the same thing, only with a diminishing number of stars. They have same kind of matches with same kind of rules. You can't tell a goddamn difference. But there's not as many stars as there were the first half a dozen times they went to town now. So now is where they're suffering the effects of, they can't just love us because we're new when we ain't new anymore. Do you see what I'm saying, Brian? Am I imparting this halfway reasonably?
I think, it's funny. I was just reading the new Keith Elliott Greenberg book about WrestleMania 3. I think it's Bigger, Badder, Better. But it's the Keith Elliott Greenberg book about WrestleMania 3, and he quotes Dave Meltzer from around that time, and it's in a chapter about the war between Jim Crockett Promotions and WWF. Everything from, Toronto, switching sides, everything that was going on. And it talked about, Dave Meltzer said, and this is from like 85, 84, I went to the show and Ric Flair had the most amazing match and everyone loved it. And I also went when Hogan was in town, and it was rather short. People liked it, but he didn't go 25 minutes and give you just the greatest thing you've ever seen. And when both came back, the WWF's crowds had not gone down, but the NWA's did. And he said, that's when I realized it's not about match quality. It's about stars.
Oh, my God.
And I think that's the thing. You want good matches. Although, in a lot of ways, if you're building a card from preliminary to the top, you don't want everyone to outshine everyone, but you want good matches, but you need stars. You need people that feel like stars. People who are not fans tune in to see stars. You hear about them. And that's the big thing AEW is missing right now.
Well, and the people in that particular area had been seeing the WWF and then the WWF. They'd been seeing that talent, that wrestling for years and years and years, and on their television. And to them, that they were the stars, and they ran those towns and they did big business. When Crockett got on TV, he had, and it was the Pro Wrestling USA show at first, I think, because it was a mixture of the talent. But the point is, some of those people had been there in the WWF in the past, but a lot of people were new. And, if you're on TV for 3 months and then here we're live, and they drew big the first time because it was not only people locally, the really rabid hardcore fan base, but also the cable watchers that drove in. But then when it became a choice of monthly who to spend the money on and who to make the trip for, usually people went with the incumbent. And this is kind of a longer lasting version of that, in that any other company would have pulled out of running live events across country a long time ago with the cost of AEW's versus the gate to begin with. Tony doesn't have to worry about that. But it's, I watched this TV March 26th, and I'm like, are they even trying anymore? Or do they think? What do they think? What do they think? Brian, what are they thinking?
Who's they, Tony?
Anybody
He's
on
the
this
one putting the show
program.
Together. He's the one putting the show together.
Many of the other people involved are enacting this show, though.
Yeah, but in terms of certain matchups where you're like, why are these two wrestling here on their main show for this long? I have that thought like every single week, multiple times.
Well, they started out with they got a new star on the scene here at AEW, the Vanilla Baby Blake Christian, who was announced at 180 pounds. I assume that was a slight exaggeration. And to make sure that people took him seriously, he had Lee Johnson in his corner, because they, I guess, are together in Ring of Honor for whatever that's worth. But Blake was in a single match against Kenny. Kenny's back in the ring, baby. And I don't know. Yes, sometimes you need a good old-fashioned squash match to get, a star over, but this wasn't really a squash match. They did even Steven choreography that the kids call the mat wrestling, and then did some uneven parallel bars and high diving. And they let the jobber flip the bird on TV before Kenny just gave him 3 big moves and hit him with a knee lift and then hit him with the fucking one-winged fairy, 1, 2, 3. But to start a show off like this, Blake Christian is, talk about vanilla. He's as pale as a bowl of vanilla ice cream. He's translucent. There's no physique discernible. He's got a job guy as a manager. We've never seen him before. But they get in enough dives that they can sell the upcoming movie about what I assume is a video game, Minecraft, right? Isn't that what the girls in my little clip at the movie premiere thought they were seeing?
That's right. They thought you were the star of it. Minecraft's a really big deal, and my daughter can't wait to go see it. When I brought her in the room to see the match, I said, look. And she's like, oh my God, Minecraft. I said, yeah. She goes, what are they going to do with Minecraft? I'm like, I think it may just be on the screen right now. I don't know if anything else is going to happen. So she watches with me, and the thing that got her to be told to get out of the office was when Blake Christian, copying Omega, stuck his fingers in his pants and then brought them up in a gun and brought him to his lips and blew the gun. And she said, why did he put his hands in his pants? I said, you got to go. I didn't realize this was going to be on wrestling tonight.
Okay, but it was a gun. I thought he thought that he had shit himself and he was checking and he was sniffing his finger.
No, it was Kenny Omega's gun from his, good night and arrivederci, wah, whatever he does.
Well, it was more like a ribbit-a-gurgy. Yeah, he stuck his hand down the front of his pants and wallered around underneath his balls for a while. And then, as I said, I thought he was sniffing his finger, but maybe he was doing both.
That was the first. You can't watch this even though it's Minecraft theme. The second one was Bitchamania breaking out later on during the fucking Hurt Syndicate segment where bitch got used 100 times in a minute.
Well, they were trying to copy the South Park episode about shit.
Oh, I thought you were going to say about Kyle's mom being a bitch.
No, they had the shit counter on the episode where they counted how many times they said shit. Ding. Anyway, oh shit. After the match, Kenny, I wrote, is going to talk. And his opening words were, what's going on? The breathless sing-song, wishy-washy, blowing in the wind delivery that he's got, the phone sex voice. He actually said, heck, I'll make it quick. He said heck. What the... You know what? I know a way they could bring the fucking crime rate down is if you committed a dastardly crime, you got sentenced to sit in a room and have a fucking conversation 12 hours a day, every day with this son of a bitch. That would put people on a straight and narrow. And he's talking about Ricochet and old Spitball. And of course, wouldn't you know, because it's wrestling rules, here comes Spitball. So now you've got an overly grinning, tiny dork doing his stupid pose with his weird haircut, wearing a t-shirt and shiny vinyl pants, coming to confront a rather muscular gentleman in the ring who has the demeanor of a fucking art student on a scholarship. This is some captivating fucking... And at that point, either something was happening with either Kenny's hair color or his spray tan, because he was starting to get the streaks melting on his forehead when they got him on the close-up there. And then Spitball talked, and he made Kenny sound like James Earl Jones. I swear to, I was like, I am not your father. Like, it's a whiny, thin voice with no diaphragm in that frail little fucking body of his to expel any air over his vocal cords to give him anything. It sounds like he's not fucking Whitey's fucking second cousin on Leave It to Beaver. And he said that Kenny was an inspiration to him. He said, I admire you. I admire you. But come Dynasty, I won't hold anything back. While he was doing this, old spitball, he was standing in the ring with one foot on tiptoe like a model on a runway. Did you notice that? The unnatural
I didn't.
Sideways standing while he was delivering this. It's like, what the fuck is...
I didn't notice that, no.
And go back, anybody that wants to, that if the recordings of this are still available, they may be classified in the government archives by this point. But he tried to bow up at Kenny, and the intimidation level of a rat fart from Speedball here. And he's heelish because of that goofy personality. I mean, the only way that this personality would not come off as somebody overacting like a fucking goody two shoes fucking nerd. I don't know any way it wouldn't. You see what I'm saying here? How can anybody think this is a babyface-ish personality?
Because the person he's doing that to is the guy who says gosh, gee, and heck. You know, someone posted in the Facebook group, Speedball looks like Hong Kong Phooey meets Todd Pettengill.
But now, come on, Todd can talk. So they talked to each other, and then suddenly Ricochet popped up on the screen, and he was dressed like a fucking maitre d' at Ruth's Chris, because apparently it was his wedding day. Does Samantha Urban know that he got married? Have we heard about this?
It was her that he was marrying.
Oh, well, he dodged a bullet there, didn't he?
I saw a picture on social media. It was him marrying her, and Karrion Kross and Scarlett were there.
Oh, I thought you said he married her and Karrion Kross. I was going to say one of those newfangled trilogies they do.
It was in Utah.
Where they say, I do, and so do you.
Anyway, back to Ricochet's wedding promo.
All right. Well, anyway, so he cuts promo. I'm at my wedding, but fuck you guys, because, yeah. And then Kenny tried to respond to both of them. It's not about making friends. I have a cat. I don't need any more friends. Right there, folks. Boom. We've been waiting for a clarification for years now. People have wondered if there's any pussy in Kenny Omega's life. And now we have it. Could he be more like goddamn Wally Cox? Acts like goddamn Dick the Bruiser next to this fucking
Mr.
guy.
Peepers?
Mr. Peepers. The kids need to Google Wally Cox. And that's COX, not the way you perverts think. And he actually said these words to Spitball, "You're not my comrade." And then he did the douchebaggy clothes thing where he sucks his finger and kisses his nose and flies up the chimney with good night, mwah, bang, pow, see ya, ma'am, thank you later, whatever the fuck he says. And in 15 minutes, everybody involved in this television show looks like and sounds like a bunch of fucking children. That's this is wrestling for children by children, with the occasional star accidentally being signed before they realize what they've gotten into. Your thoughts before we move on.
You know, Omega's one of the guys that they have that I always say he's a star, and somehow he retains that with their audience despite these promos, which are never good in my eyes. At least the match was quick. They gave him a big win. I guess wanted people to see him at the top of the show. Him against Speedball against Ricochet. I'd rather see him against Ricochet one-on-one, to be honest with you. That could be intriguing.
Yeah, this guy is, I mean, he may take over for Pockets if he don't get that fucking grin off my TV screen here pretty soon.
See, that's what I thought. It was a mouth guard. At first, because it was just so, it was like one. It was like one.
The whitest teeth I've ever come across.
Well, I don't know what happened in Mid-South, and you'll have to answer that for yourself, but I always say that they should have weight divisions there or something, and we just talked about star power. Omega has star power for their audience, can't be denied. Ricochet's on the road to trying to do something, but he couldn't be here. He was getting married. He decided to get married the night of TV.
Well, everybody gets married on a Wednesday.
And I don't know. We'll see about Speedball. It's not like people are going crazy for him, but it's only been a couple of weeks. But
no, God, please. Hopefully he'll.
At the end of the segment too, he just like it's almost like he remembered the camera was on him, and he just all of a sudden lifts his hand up and does the fist to the palm thing. And it's like, how many times have you done this? Why do you keep doing this? Punch something. Someone. Anything.
Hopefully this is an Action Andretti thing where in 2 weeks he'll disappear and we won't see him again for a year or so.
I doubt it.
But anyway, then came what I believe you believe and I believe, and we both believe to be the only segment of the show that we believed. You feel me?
I think so.
MJF and MVP. Everybody's got 3 initials now that we care about here. Followed up on the issue that they had raised last week on the program. We're getting some episodic television here. MJF came out and, of course, insulted Prince. And, you know, I don't know if he needs to try so hard to insult the people at the top of every interview. And I don't mean that he has to be nice to them, but can there be a double meaning every once in a while, or can you really roast them about something they should be ashamed of rather than just calling them names that it's up to fucking the individual opinion as to whether they fit those names or not. They might not all be fat or smelly or stupid or whatever, but you know what I'm saying, Brian? More of something that the town as a whole should be ashamed of, a devastating sports loss or a political scandal or a goddamn pollution has killed Granny down the river, something. No wonder you people are like this. You drink the water from X River. Do you see what I'm saying? Instead of, he's trying too hard with just, I hate you all. You're all are fat and stupid.
Do you think maybe at this point in time, it's just a little extra to make sure they don't cheer for him?
Well, I think Tony's doing a pretty good job of that. Because he got a
pop. No, because when he came out, I mean, Omega had just been out there. I was surprised. MJF got a big pop, it seemed like, when he came out. When the music hit, I should say.
Yeah, and he feels he needs to battle against the tide, but that's what I'm saying. He knows a week ahead of time where he's going to be. Make it more personal and less obvious. I'm just insulting you so you will boo me. Make more fun of them in a jocular way because you're better than they are and here's why, and cite a specific real life example. Get under their skin that way. To me, it would be a more legitimate thing. But nevertheless, he mentioned that MVP gave him the card and he wants to have a chit chat and he asked MVP to come on down. And MVP comes down and the fans chant MVP and or we hurt people. I think at one point they were chanting both and then they got it together. But they still see MJF as somewhat of an AEW homegrown star, and they see MVP and Shelton and Bobby as just stars in general because they haven't done the stupid shit and they look legitimate. And so that's why that they're naturally going to cheer for or chant for these people, even depending on their actions. And that also, as we've said, is indicative also of the weak, not even weak, couldn't pull a greasy string out of a cat's ass weak baby faces they've got in this company. And MJF told MVP, hey, I said I'd never do friends again, but you do business. And I'd like to be in the business of hurting people. And they start to do the handshake and the fucking The audio guy, unfortunately, went to sleep, nodded off because they had to hold it for a second before they got the music, but the music plays. And here comes Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley out. And Bobby gets up face to face with MJF, and the fans again are chanting, "We hurt people," or "We hurt people." What's the emphasis on? Is the drama over the key of E? We hurt people, or is it we hurt people?
We hurt people. That's what you.
We hurt people. You know, that's the way they ought to do it. We hurt people. We hurt people. So Bobby holds out his hand and says, "Give me the card. Give me the card." What you the card? And it looked. Everybody's playing this straight. And it looked like, okay, here, and he flummoxes and he gives him the card and Bobby rips it up. And then they kind of crowd around MJF and Menace, and MVP's like, "Hey, we're cool. And MJF's like, "Okay, well, yeah, you guys, I'll talk to you later." And he kind of gets out of there. And then you hear MVP talking to his guys, even though they're not on the microphone, but he's settling it down, but without giving any information about where this is going to go. Hey, we're all cool. We're all cool. Just settling it down. So something else is going to happen. But first, let's comment on this. This, again, you want to see what's going to go on here with MJF and MVP and the Hurt Syndicate. And, you know, they're going to freshen it up here a little bit later on the show between MVP and Lashley and Benjamin. So you understand that they're not, you know, goddamn at odds with each other already suddenly. But this was probably the best done, most professional, and halfway intriguing thing on the show. Your thoughts, Mr. Last?
I enjoyed it. I liked it. And again, intriguing. When Bobby Lashley went in there, at first you think, oh, it's a handshake. And then when he says, "Give me the card," or with the card, I don't even think he said "give me." I think he just said "the card." It creates an interesting dynamic when MJF has to turn and say, "Montel." And MVP has to step in. There's an interesting dynamic there. It didn't really have an ending, so we get to see where this goes again next week. I liked it. And the second part of this segment, which we're about to talk to. So yeah, to conclude, best part of the AEW show by far, most intriguing thing on the AEW show in a while. We'll see where this goes because I don't know. I can't visualize how this is going to end up. The second part of this was man.
It may be in the running with "Is this open mic night, bitch?" kind of.
I don't think it went the way all the people involved thought it was going to go.
Well, so MVP and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin are still standing in the ring when suddenly out comes Brian Keith and Big Bill. And they've earlier in one of the break things, Jericho has told them they need to prove themselves to him, some of this business, whatever the fuck. But now they come out and say, well, what they were trying to say, what the intention of this segment was to say was that they were going to try to put themselves over and make a challenge for a tag team title shot against the Hurt Syndicate. But God damn it, as soon as Brian Keith was the first one to speak, and as soon as he had made like one declarative statement, MVP just balled up a giant wad of shit in his hand and flung it at a high rate of speed like a fucking major league pitcher right into Brian Keith's face. He just shit all over it. He just referred to him for the first of many times as a little bitch. And I don't even think he spoke directly at him. I think he spoke to his handler, Big Bill, about getting your little bitch back. And then Big Bill tried to start talking. And everything he said, MVP again, it was like one of those batting machine things where the guy just stands there with a fucking bat, and every time one comes at him, he bam, and a bam. He would interrupt what they were trying to say and insult them and sting them. They couldn't handle his material, and then they're trying to go back to the fucking story. And he's like, well, hurry up, you two little bitches. I'm going to have my guys come down there and just slap the shit out of me. Just in the most dismissive, derogatory way possible. He allowed them to speak long enough to tell him that they wanted a title shot. Then they walked past them, showing absolutely no trepidation whatsoever, and said, go out there and win a match and you can get a title shot. I've never seen a smaller 7-foot guy that by the time they finished hacking down that redwood, and Brian Keith is a fucking midget anyway, and they just made him a little fucking mascot.
This was like Richard Pryor cutting down a heckler. I mean, it was just,
yes,
every word he got out, it was like, boom, boom, boom. And fucking Big Bill looks so good. I mean, he's obviously taking all the right vitamins. He looks jacked and big and strong, maybe never looked better than he does right now. And he started with confidence, and then he's like, but
nevertheless,
he knew there was nothing you could do. MVP had a look at his eyes like, I'm going to cut these fucking guys down no matter what. And he did, and it was amazing. And I can't wait to see this match now, because I really believe that his guys are going to kick the shit out of these two.
Yeah.
And he made me believe.
And can. Yes. That's the thing. The suspension of disbelief is back in the wrestling business. I have a feeling that Big Bill and Brian Keith better go on a long losing streak. Oh, crap. Anyway, man, speaking of a long...
Did Brian Keith walk into the wrong room? What did Brian Keith had...
Oh, yeah, this has to be some type of personal issue. that this fucking guy has apparently overstepped his boundaries in some fashion and got verbally bitch slapped back down to fucking...
It was like someone played a practical joke on MVP, but he wasn't going to go along with it. He was just going to cut it down. Like, who are these guys out here?
I don't know. I think somebody was kind of pulling a practical joke on Brian Keith and Big Bill. Send them out there to face the fucking gunnery.
Wonder what advice Jericho's going to give him now.
Don't come in here. Get him on me.
Don't go on a cruise with him.
Don't get in the elevator. So anyway, as I was saying before, the next thing they did was, I don't remember what simile I was going to adhere to it, but it was long and it was there. Brody King and Kyle Fletcher. And almost 20 minutes, and it was what you would expect it to be. Every indie wrestler was pleased as punch. It's the thing that all of them would like to do. And again, poor old Kyle, he's got the physique. He's got the size. He's very young. If he could get in a program that we could deprogram him mentally from being in this gene pool that he's in right now, I think he's got a future. But what is his gimmick, by the way? What is Kyle Fletcher's gimmick?
His gimmick is a guy who's getting in the better shape to go to WWE in a few years. No, but I mean, he doesn't really have a gimmick. His gimmick is that he was a wrestler who became upset with his hair and his friend, and now he's doing it with his bad guy manager, and his old tag team partner has joined the fray. And there really isn't a gimmick, I guess, now that I think about it.
And he dresses like a taller version of Hong Kong Phooey. It's like a fucking leather ninja outfit with dragons on it and shit. But what does that have to do with... Isn't he from Australia, New Zealand, somewhere over there, around the bend, the Pacific Rim?
And for those who have wondered, yes, it's true. Jim bought the rights to Hong Kong Phooey.
Well, no, I've just meant to bring somebody up that we've been talking about lately that has like the martial arts cartoony stuff on. He's dressing up like he's the great Muda, but he doesn't do anything moodish. Anyway, after 20 minutes, Brody King, a 300-pound guy, trusted this fucking greenhorn to get up on a top rope and give him a brainbuster on the top turnbuckle. 1, 2, 3. It was after Mark Davis came down and distracted with his giant drive-in movie screen of an ass. Why the fuck why would you say here for this random TV match? Let's get up on a top rope and see if you can turn my fat ass around and give me a brainbuster on a top turnbuckle where I'll then bounce into the ring without fucking sending me the other way out onto the floor. Or potentially busting my brain or breaking my neck. Did you see that?
I did see that. I saw this match.
Fucking hell.
You know, there was like a moment there where Brody King and Buddy, they were getting repackaged, and then Buddy got hurt. Now we just watch Brody lose matches on TV.
The hounds of hell have gone to hell. Julia won't even go out with them anymore, and they were friends.
The pups of purgatory.
Roof, roof. So then the heels got some sloppy heat on Brody King. And then Hobbs came out through the crowd to make the save. And that was in this building. I said I was going to comment earlier on the building, and our emailer there said the Roy Wilkins Auditorium, I believe. Did Roy Wilkins approve this show, by the way? What would his family think? But it's a 5,000-seat building, but they were using half of it, and you could tell because there were no ringside seats on one side of the ring. It was ring, and then like 20 feet later was the goddamn big screen they were walking out of, which gave it to me an odd kind of game show appearance, didn't it you?
I hadn't thought of it in that context, but, you know, I see what you're saying. It didn't look great.
It was odd to have nobody on that side.
Yeah. Although, again, we watched another wrestling show the next day, so I'm not going to complain as much as usual about the production or anything else.
Well, nevertheless, Hobbs came through the crowd so you could see some people and made the save. And here's another thing. Has anybody on television said, well, you know, Brody King has a tag team partner, Buddy, but he's injured. That's why he's not here to save Brody's bacon. I don't remember them saying anything about Buddy and him being injured, or did we miss it?
Again, I try not to pay too close attention to the commentary because then I just get mad and do rants on the show about how much I hate the commentators. I don't remember them mentioning Buddy.
People get hurt and they just disappear. Then there's no...
He hurt his ankle and then went on an extended honeymoon. He'll be back whenever he gets here.
He's on a boat somewhere. But anyway, the reason why they did this finish with Hobbs and Davis being involved was because when they came back from the break, we could have Powerhouse Hobbs against Mark Davis with his giant ass. And this, no pun intended, was butt fucking ugly. And poor Hobbs. It went across the 9 o'clock hour. I don't know intentionally or not, because at 9:01, they were going into the finish. But Hobbs tried to spine buster him, but fat ass somehow didn't go up, or the timing was off or whatever. So they fell in a heap where the crowd went, oh. And then Davis got up and gave him a kick and hit the ropes and ran back at him and ran into a spine buster. Same thing. Actually, to be honest, I defend them with this because they fucked the first spine buster up so bad, you couldn't really tell it was going to be a spine buster. Not to the naked, untrained eye. But then they got the spine buster. What again? Hobbs, my God, in a program with some direction, and some training and producing and developing of talent, you got something there, but the longer it goes, the less you got. What did you have heavy thoughts on the Hobbs Davis controversy here?
I wouldn't say heavy thoughts. How many more times can we say it, that Hobbs is not being served well and never has in AEW, and it would be best for him if WWE was interested, he can go there. And it's not really helping AEW constantly botching anything they do with him. He's not new. He's been there for 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
4 of the 5 years he's been there.
On and off.
Used poorly.
He's been there the whole time, but we only see him on and off.
It's crazy. When he first got there, it was like, okay, they're not really using him that great right now, but they're trying. I can't wait to see where they go with this. That was as good as it got. It didn't get better than that. It never got better.
No, it got better one time, I think, for about 3 weeks when he came back as a fucking heel one time and he was walloping people. But that didn't last. And then he was a babyface because he was so unimportant that the manager forgot to renew his contract. But he was somehow foiled in that as well.
I just hope that one day we get a fan that's a billionaire who's willing to put up the money and start a company. And a lot of these guys who are misused will get an opportunity to really show what they could do.
We can dream, I guess, but something that far-fetched would never happen, Brian. Not in real life. We can only dream about it. I can dream about it. You know what you want to do to have pleasant dreams, mute. Don't you, Brian?
Oh, no. What's that?
Well, let's sleep on a Helix mattress, of course, because that's how you have it. And as a matter of fact, if they had been on a Helix mattress instead of a wrestling ring, then Hobbs and Davis could have executed that first spine buster and it had been fine. And nobody'd get hurt. Folks, I invite anybody, go ahead, call your next door neighbor over, show them your brand new Helix Sleep mattress. While they're looking at it, pick them up from behind, give them a German suplex or give them a power bomb or maybe a sidewalk slam.
Not a good idea.
On the Helix mattress. They will not be hurt. You'll bounce up in the air and everybody will laugh.
We are, of course, laughing and joking right now. We do not want to advocate for you suplexing your neighbors. We don't know who these people are living next door to. What's wrong with you?
If they're smart, they may go ahead and go up with it. It'd be a working suplex. But as son of a bitch, if they try to sandbag you, pop your hips on that motherfucker, how dare they come in your house and not go up for your suplex? But boy, when you land on a Helix Sleep mattress, folks, it's like you're landing on a cloud. You're landing in dreamland. It's like you're in suspended animation. As a matter of fact, you suplex that obnoxious loudmouth woman next door hard enough, and she may be in a state of suspended animation where you get some peace and quiet.
Listen, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about suplexing your old mattress out and bringing in a brand new Helix Sleep mattress, a mattress just for you, however you want it, however you like it. You take the survey, you get it. It is a fine mattress. We have them here at Last Manor. You have them at Castle Cornette. We could say we endorse them, we like them. And we could say we like them and we want them to like us. So let's be friends, Jim.
Well, let's all be friends. Remember, you can get close to somebody on a Helix Sleep mattress too, and you can exchange a variety of opinions and fluids.
Just pop your hips and
just pop your hips and boom. It's the same principle, folks, except you're taking them for a different kind of ride.
Okay.
Anyway, the Helix Sleep principle it's very simple. You're going to go to helixsleep.com. That's HELIX, helixsleep.com, and you're going to take that quiz, and they're going to ask you, how old is the next door neighbor you wish to suplex on this mattress? Would you like it to stun them a little bit, or you want them to land safe?
These will not be the questions on your sleep survey. You do not have to worry about
it's like how you like to sleep or what kind of bumps you like to take. Let's say sometimes in the middle of the night, if you sleepwalk and you dream you're Randy Savage, you might drop the elbow off the dresser into the middle of the bed. You want to make sure that you and potentially your wife or whoever you're sleeping with, no judgment there, has the right kind of mattress for you to land on. But nevertheless, you take that quiz, you figure out who's going to be bumping where, And then they send it to you. You don't have to suplex your old mattress out. You can, because you're not going to hardly be able to move it. You're going to have to drag it. You're going to have to push it. You're going to have to throw it out a window. But then the new Helix mattress comes in and it's in the box where one person can just maneuver it to where it needs to be and then open the box and watch it expand into its acquired space. It's a pleasant process, sort of like leaves blooming in the spring. And then you can go outside on the old mattress in the backyard and let the dog shit on it. Tell it what you think of it, because you got a new mattress and you're going to get a great night's sleep. And you're going to get money off, because if you go to helixsleep.com/JCE, then you're going to get 20% off and 2 of the free dream pillows with your mattress purchase. So you buy the mattress, you get 20% off. They're going to throw in 2 pillows. And the dream pillows, of course, we've mentioned this. They manufacture them out in the deserts of Arizona, where they dip them in an old Indian hallucinogenic.
No, they do not dip it in any hallucinogenics at all.
That's why they call them dream pillows, because as soon as you turn your head over, stick your nose in that thing, whoo, boy, heavy metal. I'm telling you.
You know, a real quick aside here in the middle of Helix, because we love them so much that we want to talk more about them. But you brought up the desert. I just saw in videos, like one of these, there's all these YouTube channels of people who get arrested. Like there's all the dash cam footage and all the what, I always forget the name of it.
Yes, the body cam.
The body
camera is what you're talking about there.
They arrested some woman at Burning Man. She didn't seem like a young woman. They arrested her there, and whatever she did there, she did. And they asked her on camera, have you ever been arrested before? She said, yes, I beat up Jerry Lawler's girlfriend. I was involved with their bar on Beale Street, and she thought I was trying to do stuff with Jerry, and I wasn't. I was just friends with him, and I kicked her ass. In the middle of this video, one of the listeners, I'm sorry I forgot your name, sent it in, they discovered it. But that's the desert.
My God.
That's the desert.
Well, don't fuck with those people that go up to Burning Men, setting various people on fire. What the fuck will they do to you?
Sleep,
but
like
folks, you don't need to burn your Helix mattress. No, you're gonna. If you like to be warm, it'll make you warm. If you like to be cool, it'll make you cool. But most importantly, it'll make you save money, 20% off, and 2 of those free psychedelic pillows with a mattress purchase at helixsleep.com/JCE.
That's right. Helix Sleep. We love them.
I know that's right. That's why I said it. I wouldn't mislead people purposely.
I'm just trying to let people know how much we love them. Helix Sleep. Them being the mattresses that we receive from Helix Sleep.
I'll skip ahead a little bit. They're letting Nick Plain speak now.
What are you skipping?
I'm skipping Nick Plain.
Oh.
They're letting him speak now. I'm skipping ahead. Swerve and Hangnail Page were arguing in the back. More on some of them soon. The sit down with Tony Schiavone hosting Edge and FTR. What the hell's going on now? You think? Because last week Dax wouldn't help Edge up, and he walked out on Edge and Cash, and now Dax is saying, I let my emotions get the better of me. I apologize to everybody. You know, we took our time off from our goals to help our buddy Edge. And, you know, he's failed, and we've been sidetracked now because we helped this loser. He wasn't saying it. Everybody was being prickly to each other while still being friendly, that type of deal. And
was it really everybody, or it was Dax?
Well,
and Cash
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, Edge was being a little prickly back, because that's the thing. Edge is Dax is being a whiny little bitch, and Edge is sniping back at him, and Cash is caught in the middle. So in the middle of that, he talks about, well, I remember when I was homeless living in my car. And this guy, and I don't know which guy it was that helped him out, but has every wrestler of the past 20 years once been homeless and living in their car? And it's way past a gimmick now. How does that make any of them seem like bigger stars that, yes, well, one per company or one once in a while, but everybody just a bunch of homeless drifters. Anyway, so Dax was saying that they'd been sidelined with their goals. And he said it's time to go after the Hurt Syndicate for the tag team title. But then Cash said, hey, but now there's more mileage left here in this little group we got here. Let's go for the 6-man title against the Death Riders. I forgot the 6-man tag team title was a fucking thing. Have they defended that or did that in a while? They just run out in Dick the Boozer's title matches, don't they?
I don't remember them doing it. When they mentioned it, I forgot who the champions were.
Well, it is indeed some various form of the Stooges that are Claudio and Pac and Wheeler. I guess it's them. But the point is, so then Edge said, yeah, that sounds great. And Dax like, oh, yeah, that'll be it. So, I mean, they can't split up Dax and Cash. Will it be a situation where eventually FTR become heels again, which at this point couldn't hurt because it's not like anything could hurt where they're at. But I awkward.
I guess.
Any thoughts or?
I mean, I can't imagine they would turn FTR against each other because I don't know if that would really help either one of them right now. A heel run's the only thing really there is to do, but it has to really mean something. I guess if they tease Dax is going to turn on Edge and then Cash eventually takes Dax's side and they both kick the shit out of Edge, we've never seen him beat up before on this show. I don't know, but
But at least he's on a long winning streak.
What FTR need right now is a serious heel run. I just don't know how it'll work because, I don't know. We'll see how it works, but that's what they need, and maybe this is a way to get there.
We got a long way to go and a short time to get there, so we will move on. Swerve and Nana came to the ring. And Swerve called out, and Brian, with all due deference to Dick the Boozer and the Boar Horseman, which I think is classic naming, I saw a guy on Twitter, you know what he's calling the plumber? Johnny Moxville. I like it. I like it. But whatever Swerve calls out, Jesus Christ, they got no one ringside on one side of the ring. The screen and the entrance is 20 feet away from the fucking ring. And this hobo has to walk in from the goddamn outer hallway, past the sign that says auditorium this way. And through, and that's how can this building seat 2,000 people. And then we got the email that, it's a 5,000 seater and they cut it in fucking half and just had a blank wall there. But this, I don't know where to start or what to say. Maybe they've finally broken me to where I can't even get indignation anymore. But this was the most awkward, meandering, ineffective, boring exhibition. I don't know what, and I don't know how they thought that it was going to make Swerve look anything more than like shit, like they have for I don't know how long now. To have them do a face-to-face in the middle of the ring, Swerve and Moxley just stand there and stick his fucking goofy face out and make eyeballs at him, while Swerve meandered around the ring. He had no energy. He was walking around turning his back on Moxley while Moxley was making goofy faces. Maybe it's just his face. And chewing gum while Swerve was reciting this material that he had prepared to really incisively get into Moxley's head that what's happened to you? You hide behind everybody. But the fans were bored while Swerve was meandering around And it looked like Moxley, like it was all Swerve made it look fake because it sounded fake because it was obviously some memorized shit that he was probably trying to look away from Moxley so it wouldn't break his train of thought staring into that goofy fucking face. And then Moxley made Swerve look like a goddamn idiot by just standing there, not at all threatened or insulted or incensed or aggravated or nettled or harassed or by anything he was saying. And then suddenly, this is where I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Nana's on the floor watching these two in the ring face to face with each other. And suddenly you get the camera shot. Claudio is on the floor behind Nana. And Moxley can see that, but Swerve can't. And the crowd is yelling and screaming. That's the first time that the crowd has made any noise through this whole thing. They're yelling, hey, behind you. But Swerve and Nana are apparently deaf because they don't turn around. And then Swerve turns around and looks, but Nana doesn't. But Swerve doesn't say to Nana, Nana, look out behind you. Swerve just stares at Claudio behind Nana. And then all four of them are mute and motionless. And the fans start chanting Swerve's house for no reason because there's nothing else going on. And then Moxley started talking, mumbling, talking in the riddles, meandering around, and again being boring again. But Swerve, you're going to say, he puts Swerve over, but then he said, you're going to suffer. I don't give handouts. How far are you willing to go? Meanwhile, Nana still hasn't turned around and got away from goddamn Claudio. He's just standing there. Did you see that? That he never turned around and just got away from Claudio.
Yeah, I was waiting for the turn. It never happened.
And then after this long dissertation from the plumber, and by the way, again, you don't know what the fuck he's saying. He's delivering it in a rapid fire fashion. You wouldn't be able to really memorize this, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. So Marina Schaefer suddenly comes out and gets up on the apron of the ring with a crowbar. But then Willow Nightingale comes out and gets up on the apron with a fake lead pipe. And then everybody's immobile again. The girls are standing each other off. Nana and Claudio are down on the floor just with their arms folded. And Swerve tells Moxley off more and tells him he's going to win the World Heavyweight title and Moxley can continue to play John Moxley on TV. And then they make mean faces.
How about that line? That's a bit of a, in another era, that would almost cross a line. What did you think of that line?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they know exactly what they're doing or not, but he is reinforcing everybody's opinion of Moxley. But at the same time, that was the thing. They made mean faces at each other and then they left. But then suddenly Marina ran back and got on Willow, and the guys, the guy said, well, we can stand out here with all these weapons and threaten people all we want, but goddamn, when it comes to violence, we got to pull these women apart and keep them from fighting, because the guys just pulled the girls apart, and then they went to the break. Does Swerve know that Moxley has buried him like he's buried everybody else? Is he tired of the tomfoolery, or is that something that Tony Khan fed him to be edgy with the internet fans?
We shall see. I just saw some clips. Swerve did an interview with Vlad TV. Does a lot of interviews on YouTube with usually a lot of hip hop guys and just various people. Swerve shows so much more charisma just talking regular, talking straight, than trying to do a promo. He seems like he gets lost sometimes when he's doing these promos. He says the wrong thing and he gets lost. But when he's just talking straight, you see it. I see it more when he talks straight than when he's out there with Nana doing his promo.
If only he had a manager that could help do some of the promos with the dates and places and facts and figures and everything, and just let him be a personality, then oh, wait. But not only gets to speak whenever somebody steals his clothing.
Or he has to plug his coffee.
Skipping over some more stuff, Samoa Joe was in the back doing comedy skits with children and choked Max Caster out.
Did you watch that? Because I just want to point out, the fans started chanting Max Caster's chant. I told you it was going to happen, and it happened.
More importantly, for the viewing public, they are this thin in putting people in the ring that know what they're doing, and Samoa Joe's in the back doing comedy skits with the kids.
Yep.
And speaking of people that don't know what they're doing, Top Flight wrestled Arnold Finster and Tits McGee. I don't know who they were, don't care. It was a match that you would see in a wrestling school while the trainer is on the phone. And one member of Top Flight almost broke his own leg doing a deal to somebody else.
That's their thing. They break their legs. That's their move.
God damn. Well, they got a large variety of things they can do to do that then. Mark Briscoe, I will gloss over. Unfortunately, I feel so bad for Mark Briscoe. A singles match would take a shit. We've said how big a babyface Mark could have been for this company a couple of years ago if they'd capitalized on events and just pushed him and let him be. Now I feel bad for him every time I see him, but again, I feel bad for our boy Take here, but not as bad as I feel for Mark Briscoe. Remember we said yes when we first saw Take, and he was new and he was fresh, and I can see this guy with a fucking sleek looking fucking gimmick instead of a goof like some of the rest of these guys, and with his athletic ability, boom, chicky, boom, we get him in here, and he's cheaper than all the rest of these broken down Japanese legends they brought in, and he's younger. And then we see him, we don't see him, that he's in the family, but he's got no person. He can't do promos, and Don's way past stale, and there's been no coherent push. So just taking this match in a vacuum, if you watch this, anybody in the history of the wrestling business would say Mark Briscoe's the guy of these two you need to be pushing. He can work better than Take. He's a better worker. He's been doing it for 20 years. And I'm not talking about goddamn Tiger drivers or whatever. Mark can probably do that too. But in a professional sense, he's a much better worker. He's obviously a way better promo. He's got a better gimmick. Read that personality, because it's not really a gimmick. It's him. He's more marketable as a pro wrestler in every way than Take a Shit is. At this point in time, especially when we've seen nothing from what they've done with Take a Shit, and Mark goes out and gets over with the crowd every time. And his opponent was just kind of there because I think he realizes, it is what it is. And then he wins with a suplex, and Mark loses again. Can you sit there and watch this match and say the right guy won, they're pushing the right fellow?
I don't think Takeshita should be losing, and I think Takeshita is really good and worthy of.
No, I'm saying,
and I don't think Mark Briscoe should be beating him right now because he's been used like shit forever. It would be the wrong thing to do.
No, I'm saying in a vacuum. If you were suddenly, if you were the booker for the last wrestling federation, and you were shown this match on tape from a foreign country, like say Bolivia, and you'd never heard of these two before, and you didn't know who they were, what their history was, and you watched it, which one would you want to hire to draw money for your wrestling promotion?
I don't know if anyone's drawing money, but I would probably see Mark Briscoe as the person who showed more character.
That's what I'm talking about. He still gets over with the live crowd, and they've done nothing, and now it may be too late.
Should they turn him heel?
No, because then
because look at what he is as a babyface. That's why the only reason I'm saying
he's a good heel. Well, it's over now anyway because they've seen what they've done with him as a babyface for 2 years. If he'd have been a top babyface, yeah, you might want to say, well, let's turn him heel for a year and a half and freshen him up so we can switch him back. He'll be new again. But no, when you've completely made a guy meaningless and then just switch him, and that's just even worse. Unless it is accompanied by a mega push because it's early in a guy's career and now he's finally grown up, and that doesn't fit Mark, who's been doing this for 20 years. And that's the thing, is poor talent picking, poor talent choices. It's what's got Tony in a lot of his issues, because his eye is drawn to the shiny little outlaw indie bauble instead of having a professional, an insider of the industry's knowledge of who is actually good and who's making the other people look good and who could potentially draw you some money with any kind of mainstream regular fucking audience. And I know people are, that mainstream people don't watch it. I'm talking about the mainstream wrestling audience, the one that the WWE has. When you get, a fourth or a third of theirs, let me know. Anyway, the follow-up to the Hurt Syndicate dealings was now with Alicia Atout. Apparently it is indeed Atout. At one point, I was almost sold on a tout.
I thought it was a tout.
But it's Atout.
That's what she said.
You know what they say? The more you toot, the better you feel. Beans, every meal. So she's with the Hurt Syndicate, but MVP says, give us a second. And she just leaves the camera shot, but they're still talking with the camera right there, and they're mic'd. So they didn't mind the world hearing. I'm sorry, I got to point this out. They didn't mind the world hearing, but fuck Alicia Atout. She needs to give them a fucking second. They don't want her in on their plans. Did you notice that little detail?
I did. Of course.
Why couldn't they have been around the fucking corner or something? Just, but anyway, the talent here did this seriously. Like a real discussion, not like the cartoon. Well, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. They were upset that MVP didn't consult them. You gave us a day off, but then you go out. Hey, I gave you guys the day off because you won, but I'm always doing business. That's our business, right? It was reasonable and logical. But then they said, well, you can't trust MJF. We don't trust him. That's what everybody says. Hey, I think he could be good for our business. Let's just settle down. We'll discuss this. So they're not like already the Keystone Cops, pointing fingers at each other. But there is still some element of, can the square peg fit into the round holes in the Hurt Syndicate? So they went back to intriguing a little bit.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like all the stuff they're doing right now.
And then they went back to fucking outlaw bullshit. Penelope Pitstop and Megan Brain versus Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm was the main event. And I suddenly was called away to the toilet. But Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, by the way, are Thunderstorm. Yeah. Were you on the toilet while that match happened?
I wasn't on the toilet, but I did not watch that match. And I feel bad because I like Megan Bain so far. But I don't know. I didn't have much hope for the match. And this was the main event. I'm sorry. I just know. I had other things to do. I'm sorry. I don't know who I'm apologizing to. I'm sorry, Tony. I had other things to do. I couldn't watch your women's tag main event.
Well, the point is, though, not did you watch it, Brian, or not did I watch it, Brian, but did the people out there in the TV land, did they watch the show this week?
Well, we will find out how many people watch. We do, of course, have the numbers. The AEW Dynamite for March 26th ratings on TBS. 8 to 10:07 p.m. on average, watched by 663,000 viewers.
Good Lord. They're bulletproof at this point, I guess. If they were going to lose any more people, they would be losing them now on these TV shows, and they've settled into their range again. What's it going to take? Another top star being fired or another backstage brawl to lose them another 100,000, or is there anybody that care about that much anymore?
Let me ask you this. What do you think? Because we don't know anything. Nothing's public. But in terms of the max numbers, I guess some of the people trying to paint a really rosy picture say that it could be as high as a couple 100,000 people watching on Max. That seems ridiculous to you, doesn't it?
Why was there no discernible impact whatsoever in the regular TV ratings when they went on Max? If it was going to be a bunch of people, nobody changed. They were right in the same place, kind of, sort of, where they are now. They lose or gain a few people in the 600,000s now.
Yeah.
But they were already in the 600,000s, but instead of the 800,000s they were a few years ago before Netflix came along. There was no discernible difference. And it's not like they're pushing it, but Netflix ain't beating it to death. Right?
Right now, specifically with AEW, they're actually, from a television perspective, at a little bit of a high point. This is up 1% from last week, which was 658. 621 is the 4-week average. This is up 7% on that. Again, not giant gains, but not driving off lots of people like we've seen happen, and I will presume will happen again when the booking falls apart and there's no stars. Let's go to the quarterly numbers, Jim.
Okay, Mr. Rosy Outlook.
These were compiled by WrestleNomics. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m. Kenny Omega versus Blake Christian. The post-match with Speedball Mike Bailey and Ricochet on video location. 785,000 viewers.
Okay, and the lead-in is a bit up from what it's been also, so they're starting at a good place.
We go to quarter 2, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. The Learning Tree backstage promo and the MJF Hurt Syndicate and eventually the Learning Tree tag team live angle, followed by an ad break. 753,000 viewers.
Wow, that tells something. They only lost 35,000 in the first 15 minutes. It's usually 100,000. So something's going on here.
Well, again, Kenny Omega, whatever you want to say about him, to AEW's fans, he's always been a star. MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, and even if you want to say Jericho starting off the segment there, those are all people who have been stars. We go to quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Brody King versus Kyle Fletcher with picture-in-picture.
For a long time.
655,000 viewers.
There we go. There went 98,000, but 130 since the start of the program. So, yeah, they got something with the people like Kenny, but they got something also that kept them hooked, not hook, with the Hurt Syndicate.
No, that's right.
Hook didn't hook them. They gave him the hook.
Well, Jim, let's go to quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The continuation of Brody King versus Kyle Fletcher with picture-in-picture, and the post-match with Mark Davis and Powerhouse Hobbs. An ad break, and then Mark Davis versus Powerhouse Hobbs. 638,000 viewers.
Okay, they're down close enough to 150,000 from the start of the program, but it's the top of the 9 o'clock hour, Brian.
The big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m., quarter 5. The Nick Wayne backstage promo, an ad break, the Swerve Strickland Adam Page backstage confrontation, the rated FTR sit-down interview, and the start of the Swerve Strickland John Moxley live confrontation. 649,000 viewers.
Well, they picked up 11,000, and that's kind of anemic. But at least they're not going any further in the wrong direction.
Well, the direction we're going is quarter 6, 9:15 and 9:30 p.m. The John Moxley, Swerve Strickland, Marina Shafir, Willow Nightingale live angle.
Oh, here's the test.
The Ops and Top Flight and AR Fox and Max Caster's backstage angle.
I think they just yelled at each other.
An ad break. The Jay White backstage promo. And the start of Top Flight versus Alex Findlay and Devo Knight. 669,000 viewers.
Good God, that 15 minutes of Drek gained 20,000 viewers. All right, now looking at their average, they got to have 2 quarters where apparently there was a major power outage west of the Mississippi.
We go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m.
A fucking hot rod in the back here also, in the background. Going down the road, if you can hear it. Damn kids in their fucking fancy damn hot rod cars.
Well, we go now to where were we? Quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Top Flight versus Alex Finley and Devo Knight continued. The post-match with Leo Rush, Action Andretti, and that's it. And the start of Mark Briscoe versus Konosuke Takeshita picture-in-picture ads. 601,000 viewers.
Well, that's down 68,000, but again, what happened in quarter 8?
Well, we go now to quarter 8, and I remind you we have a 7-minute overrun. Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Mark Briscoe versus Konosuke Takeshita continued. The Death Riders backstage promo, an ad break, the Hurt Syndicate backstage angle, and the start of Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Thunderstorm with picture-in-picture. 598,000 viewers. 7-minute overrun. Continuation of tag match. 576,000 viewers.
You know, actually, that's not as bad as I thought, because to get to 663,000 average when they had hung in pretty good through the middle part of the program, I was convinced they had to fall off a cliff. But I guess that math does work. They were still 209,000 down from the start of the show by the end of it. Whew. Well,
there it is. The
there you
AEW
go.
Dynamite ratings.
Well, you know, Brian, if you're going to appear on a program like this, a lot of people may want to look up into changing their appearance, kind of disguising themselves, making, you know, if you're on a show like this, maybe you want to go out and you don't want to be molested or interrupted in public by people going, you were on that shitty show. So you want to change the way you look. You've often felt that whenever, maybe let's say, for example, you've got to be in a police lineup. Now, even though you might know that you haven't committed that particular offense, still you want to not look any remotely like the person that did as much as you can. So you shave your beard off if you have one, or you might want to change your hair color, Brian. I mean, many times before you've gone in for a lineup, didn't you think, you know, maybe I should have changed my hair color? You never thought that?
I have not thought that. And again, we're talking about simpler hair color, of course. And when you look at the people in AEW and how some need a career change, a lot of that begins with a new hair color. You know, Gorgeous George wasn't always gorgeous.
Well, that's true, but I don't know if they have platinum blonde at simpler hair color, but they got colors that will fit you, folks. And that's the thing. If you want to change your appearance for the better, if you don't want to be like the guys on AEW where they're standing there and their hair is literally melting on their face. It's not like the corrosive chemicals that they sell you at the local hair dyeing store. You don't have to put on a hazmat suit and gloves. It was 6 inches thick in order to slather this stuff on and then take a garden hose to your head like you do with some of the other major products out there. No, because this was developed, Brian, simpler hair color I'm talking about. It was developed by people who wanted to appreciate better dyeing options for hairs and beards. Snehal Patel and Mitch Brown, I think actually they're cousins. They went through the problem of the mess of the home dye kits and the harsh ingredients. Well, do you realize that poor old Mitch, he had 4 layers of his skin melted off by Dr. Proctor's hair dye when he was a mere child?
We don't know that. We shouldn't be making declarative statements about things we don't know.
Well, that's when I talked to him on the phone. He said, yeah, that fucking Dr. Proctor's, I was only 16 years old.
Talk to Mitch.
And it took me 3 years to get my pigment back. The pigment of the stuff. Anyway.
I don't know if you talked to Mitch about his pip or anything else, but we're talking about simpler hair. Hey, listen, you brought up Wahoo in the past. Wahoo was doing what he was doing because at that time, that was the simplest way to do something. Now, he can get first-class hair color in a simpler way.
Well, he can't. I got it right here. Hear that? I can't actually make the can make any noise. I can pound it on the table here. You get a can of the simpler and safer multi-use cream for your hair and beard. In this kit, you get a couple of these applicator brushes, specifically tailored to this application. You get the reusable gloves, the cleansing wipe, and an instruction book. And as you can do as many hairs and beards with 1 can of this as 4 boxes of drugstore stuff. That's what it just fell and broke my glasses. Now I can't see. And it comes in a plain black wrapper. Nice little box there. People won't know what you got. It's not any of their business if you're changing the color of your hair, except if they've seen you before, then they'll see you and they'll say, well, goddamn, he looks younger. Wonder why. Anyway, folks, simpler hair color, an all-in-one product you can use on your hair and your beard. Where your hair is technically, your beard is your hair. The hair on top of your head as well as underneath your chin. They ought to be more specific. It's gentle and effective, is this formula. When you put it on, your skin will tingle like it's being massaged by a beautiful masseuse from the South Seas Islands, rubbing coconut gel and a variety of papaya juices into your various orifices.
All right, Mr. Brando, let's get back to talking about simpler hair color. And
well, let's say goodbye to grays the easy way. Actually, you should say finay to gray the easy way with simpler hair color. Go right now to simplerhaircolor.com/JCE. Use the code JCE for 10% off of your order. 10% off your order at simplerhaircolor.com/JCE with the promo code JCE. 9,500 5-star reviews. There was only one asshole out there that didn't like it. He had shitty hair to begin with, so fuck him. Simpler hair color. You're going to be dyeing the gray away, saying finay to the gray away. You ain't going to be gray no more.
No, you won't with simpler hair color. Get it today. Friends of ours, they are there for you. One more time, Jim, in a professional tone.
A lot of friendly people. Simplerhaircolor.com/JCE. Use the code JCE. 10% off of your order. And you won't melt in hot weather.